I'm currently signed into the VectorServe Sandbox, which is our playground environment, which you should all be seeing here. We're using data that's provided by the Sacramento YOLO Mosquito Control District. So thank you for letting us use your data for the training. And what you should be seeing is our option menu here for our new interface. And what I'm going to be talking about today is abundance records and pool records. As you can see here, we have these options split between arthropods and ticks. From VectorServe's perspective, we view these as different enough to separate the ticks from the rest of the different arthropods you might be collecting. And today we're going to be specifically talking about this arthropod menu. So this would include, mostly from your perspective, mosquitoes, but could also include things like biting midges, deer flies, horse flies, yellow jackets, anything that your mosquito control or public health district might be doing surveillance on. The first thing that we're going to be talking about is abundance records. Abundance records within the VectorServe system refer to collections of these arthropods. So I'm just going to refer to them as mosquitoes. So collection records of mosquitoes where you'll be actually doing specific counts for how many mosquitoes were within a specific trap. Pools then are the data on mosquitoes that you'd be putting into a specific vial for testing, for pathogen testing at your laboratory. So let's start with the abundance records first. The abundance records can be found here under Arthropod Abundance, and we can create new abundance records, or we can manage abundance records that are already within the VectorServe system. Or you can find these records here through our menu interface under Arthropod, Abundance, and New. This V5, again, is the new version that we're looking at. These forms can also be accessed through our legacy interface. So for the purpose of the training, let's open a new abundance record here. And it's going to open up a web form for the data entry for new arthropod collections. The first bit of information you're going to want to enter here is the collection date for the specific trap that you're going to be entering the data for. There's two pieces of information that are going to be needed to complete this information. The first is the collection date. So this is the day that you picked up the trap. So we can set that as today. And the second bit of information is the trap night, the number of trap nights that the trap is out for. This will likely vary by what type of trap you're setting out into the environment. So if it's something that's battery powered, like a BG trap or a gravid trap, that will likely be like one trap night. Whereas something that is left out in the environment over a longer period of time, such as a New Jersey light trap, a GAT trap, an OV trap, you might set this to a value like 7 if it was left out over the course of a week. So you can enter this information in this format, or you can select input by start and end date, where if you're setting a trap out over multiple nights, you can set the day that you started the trap, the day that you collected the trap, and these trap nights will automatically be calculated for you. Something to note about these start and end dates is that there are certain trap types where the collection isn't even done over the course of one night. They might be done, instantaneously or just over one day. Example of this might be like an aspiration, where you have a vacuum collector where you would just be sucking mosquitoes out of an environment. So that would be something that would be done over the course of an afternoon, or something like a larval dip, where you're just dipping a larval dipper into some water where mosquitoes are breeding. For any trap type where the collection is done over the course of one day, what we would what we require is that the trap type be set to 1. 1 is the minimum value here that you can enter for the trap nights. So if something is done, if a trap type is done over the course of 1 day, you'll enter 1 trap night. Okay. The next set of information that would be entered would be the site where the collection occurred. So this is what Kurt was talking about in the previous trainings. Here we'll have options there's a drop-down options that'll show the first 50 sites that are available within the system. But you can also search this field by either the trap name or the site code, or the site name or the site code if you know it off the top of your head. So for the purpose of the training, I'm just going to select our site code number 1 here, which is found at Camden Lake in Sacramento. Once you have that entered, you can select the down arrow on this map value, and it'll show you exactly where that site is located. For the precision level, this is something that Kurt talked about as well for sites. Sometimes the exact location of where the mosquito trap was set is unknown. This is really common for historic mosquito trapping data. So you might know the location, the approximate location of where the trap was set, or maybe you only know the city or the county where it was set. We allow you to set this precision level so that you know how certain you are of where the trap was set. If you have a historical record and you know it was set in the city of Sacramento, but you know nothing beyond that, this allows you to know the level of certainty for where that trap was set. The other pieces of information to know about the site option here, this site field, is that is this buffer zone. So we are located at this Camden Lake site, but something that is available to you is that you can move this specific trap's location within this buffer zone up to a 1/4 mile. So one thing that might be common when you're setting out your mosquito traps is you typically set the trap at this location, maybe at these cross streets. But when you go out and set a trap on a specific day, there might be construction at that location. The area might be flooded due to recent rainfall activity that makes it so that you can't actually set the trap at that location for this specific day. So you'll be able to then move the pin for where you set the trap on this day to a different location within that 1/4 mile buffer. The other option that you have is, instead of setting this as a specific site code, you can set this to what we call a 0 site code. And it will allow you to set the pin anywhere on the map, even without entering the previous latitude, longitude data for within the site module. This could be helpful if you are doing a response to a mosquito complaint. Let's say you get a phone call from an individual saying that I live at this address, and we're getting a lot of mosquitoes, and you want to go out and determine what mosquitoes are in that environment, but you don't think you'll make this a regular trapping location. You can use this 0 site code then just to set the pin at that person's household without having to create the site as a regular trapping location for you. So let's go back to this Camden Lake. If you are planning on trapping at this Camden Lake location or any of your given sites, but you need to move the pin outside of this 1/4 mile buffer, let's say over here, you're going to get a warning message here asking if you would like to, instead of using the 0001 site code, would you rather use the 1-off 0 site? And if you select this to yes, it'll change the site code to your 0 site, and then it'll pull that latitude, longitude information for that location. All right, let's go back to the Camden Lake site and say that, all right, this is where we're going to set this trap. The next bit of information that you'll be entering is the information about the trap itself. So the first piece of information here, I see we have a question in the chat. Yes, yep, Kurt's got that handled. Okay, so the next bit of information that you can enter is about the specific trap type. So here would be like the different traps that could potentially be available within the vector search system. If there's something missing here, just let us know, and we can definitely get that added. But this would be things like your BG traps, your gravid traps, your CO2 traps, things along that line. So for this training, I'm just going to create a BG Sentinel trap. The next question is about lures. So again, we have a drop down here with all of the lures that are available, but you can also search for lures. So for a BG Sentinel trap, you might be using a BG lure. You'll notice that this field is actually multi-select. So if you're using more than one lure, you can add additional lures. So let's add CO2 as well if you're setting up a BG trap with both of these lure types. The next question is related to the number of traps set at this specific location. So this might be common if you're doing larval dips or OV traps, where you're setting out lots of different traps at one location at one time to represent that area. You can increase the number of traps that were set on this date at this location. For the purposes of the training, I'm just going to set this as 1, as you would typically do for a BG Sentinel trap. We have a field here for identified by. This would be the person who did the IDs for the mosquitoes that were within the trap. You'll see that there are certain fields here that have the red asterisks. These are the required fields. So this is not a required field, but can be entered. And the last question within this section is whether or not the trap had any problems. So you all work in mosquito control and know that sometimes the traps break within the field. For example, a light bulb might go out, the fan might break. There's if you hover over this question, it'll give you some options. You would select this box if something went wrong with the trap in the environment. This will note in the database that this specific collection occurred. Like you did do the effort to put the trap into the environment, but you don't want these collections entered into your future analyses because it might not be a representative collection if the light bulb went out or if the fan broke. For the trap, the last thing you can enter here is just a comment field. Again, it's not required, but maybe you want to enter a specific comment about the population that you interacted with while setting the trap, or something has changed in the environment. Maybe you typically set the trap on a tree that has since been cut down or something like that. You just want to make a comment of that. You can add any comment you want here. So I'm just going to add a training comment. All right, so now we have all of the information entered about the specific date the trap was set, the location where the trap was set, and the details about what type of trap and what lure was set. All right, so I'm going to save this collection. And you'll get a notice here, a little message here saying that the trap was successfully saved. I'm going to go back to our main menu here. And under abundance again, so we're going Arthropod, abundance. You can go to manage. So let's open this in a new tab. And based on the date filtering, what did I say? To today, you'll be able to see all of the collections for the given date range that you have selected. You can also set this to recent, and it'll pull in your 10 most recent collections, or you could filter it as I had previously as date. The options that you have here now are you can delete the collection record that you just entered, or you can edit it. So Let's go to edit. And it reopens that data form that you just completed with all the data that we previously entered. And if you need anything changed, you want to set this precision now to approximate, we can then update the collection. Okay, are there any questions about how to enter data about specific traps in the vector serve system? Otherwise, I can move on to entering like the species identification information. Okay, let's go on to species information. So you have this BG trap that was set into the environment, and now you want to enter what exactly was caught within that trap on that day. So we're going to enter some species information in this species count section down here at the bottom. Here we have the first piece of information you're going to enter is the specific species that was caught within the trap. Because this is a BG trap, I'm going to enter some Aedes mosquitoes in here. We have all of the different taxonomical levels available within the system. So if you only are able to identify the species within the trap down to the genus, you'll be able just to enter the genus information, such as Aedes, as an option here. So let's just start with that. For the next question is the sex and condition of the mosquito. So the first options here are for adult mosquitoes. So you could enter male mosquitoes, male adult mosquitoes, or female mosquitoes. And you might want to break these down into their gonotrophic status if you're doing that as part of your identification. So we have a catch-all field for mixed, which would be like if you're not doing any gonotrophic status identification, you would use this mixed option. But we also have options here for if the mosquitoes are unfed, if they're blood-fed, or if they're gravid mosquitoes. We also have the option here to select different life stages if you're doing things like ovitrap collections, larval dips, or if you're working with other insect species that have nymphal life stages, such as kissing bugs, as an example. So here you can set exactly which life stage you're entering. So let's enter some female mixed mosquitoes. And let's say we caught 150 of them within this BG trap. You can add this species now. And you'll see that it's available here in this table. So we have a listing of the total females that were caught and the total count within this collection. So you have this value added. And let's say you added it initially as Aedes, but now you want to update that mosquito as you're able to do the species identification. So here you have the option to either delete this record or you can edit it. So let's edit this species information. And let's say now you know that it was Aedes aegypti. So you can enter the corrected species information and update that count. And just for completeness, I'm going to add in a couple of other collections here. So let's say there was also some Aedes aegypti males. We'll say there was 50 of them. Let's add some Aedes albopictus. We'll say that those were female mixed. And let's add 100 of them. Excuse me, 100 of them. And lastly, let's add some Aedes japonicus. We're going to say these are female mixed also, and we'll add 50 of them. Okay, so now we have our species information added. If we go back, I'm going to exit out of this. And if we go back to our Arthropod abundance manage list, now you'll see that the record has been updated to include 50 male mosquitoes and 300 female mosquitoes. And if you click this drop-down option, you'll be able to see the listing of the different mosquito species that were caught within that trap. The last thing that we're going to do here is add mosquito pools. So I'm going to go back and edit this record. So here's your date, your site, your trap information. Here are the species that were caught within this trap. And now what we're going to do is create mosquito pools. So mosquito pools are the mosquitoes that would be put into vials to be submitted to the laboratory for pathogen testing. So for these types of mosquitoes, you might want to be doing like dengue, Zika, chikungunya testing on these mosquitoes to find out if that pathogen is found in the environment. So at the bottom of this form, you'll see a section for adding mosquito pools. The first piece of information that's going to ask you for is for the mosquito pool number. This is a database ID number that would allow you then to reference which pool specifically you're talking about with the laboratory. Here you'll see it's giving us guidance for the number 1. That is the next lowest mosquito pool number that is available to be used for this surveillance here. But it's also giving you a note that on the right-hand side, you can also see which pool numbers are available. This is on this right-hand side. We have a toggle here to show what pools are available. So I'm going to click this drop down, and within the Sacramento YOLO Mosquito Control Agency for the year 2024, these are the mosquito pool numbers that are currently available to be used. So we have 1 through 3 available to be used, but mosquito numbers 4 through 5 are currently used. So those are not available to you. All right, so let's create some mosquito pools that would be available to us. So we'll use that pool number 1. And let's enter our Aedes aegypti mosquito. Let's actually do let's do Aedes albopictus. So we're going to do Aedes albopictus. We're going to use that female mixed that we previously used when we were doing the mosquito identification. Here you're able to enter any comments you want about this specific pool. Maybe there's a bit of information that you want the laboratory to know about the pool before it's tested. You can enter any comments here. So I'm just going to add another training comment. Here, we're going to enter how many mosquitoes are we putting into that vial to be tested at the laboratory. In the state of California, that number is typically capped at 50, but it might vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So we're just going to put 50 mosquito pools in here. And this number is the number of pools that you would like to create at the same time using the information that you've previously entered. So if we select 1 here, it's just going to create 1 pool. If we increase this to 2, it's going to create 2 pools with the pool numbers 1 and 2. So it'll create 2 pools of Aedes albopictus females with a count of 50. So let's generate this. And you'll get a message here saying that the pools were successfully saved. And now we have a listing of 2 pools here that are Aedes albopictus females with a count of 50. We can do this again. Now the next available pool number is 3. So let's create that value 3. We'll do this for our Aedes aegypti mosquitoes, female mixed. Again, we're going to do 50, a count of 50 here. And we can, because we have 150 Aedes albopictus female, or Aedes aegypti females, Aedes aegypti females in this collection, we can create up to 3 mosquito pools. And now because pool numbers 4 and 5 are not available, it'll create mosquito pool 3, and then it'll skip 4 and 5 as those ID numbers are already used, and then it'll create pools 6 and 7. So let's generate these. And you'll see that now 3 Aedes aegypti pools have been created. Let's try to create pools now for mosquitoes that would be unavailable to us. So what I mean by that is in the collection, it says that we have 100 Aedes albopictus females within the collection. And we currently have 2 pools Aedes albopictus females that have a count of 50. That would mean that there's no additional Aedes albopictus females available. If you try to create a collection of Aedes albopictus females with additional mosquitoes that are not available and click generate, you're going to get a pool validation error saying the number of pools or number of mosquitoes that you're trying to create in this pool exceed the number that were available based on your species identification. This will also occur if you select a life stage that is not available to you in your identification. So here we did not enter any Aedes albopictus males. So if you try to create a pool of Aedes albopictus males, you'll get that same error message. When creating pools from the Aedes abundance form here, the number of pools or the number of mosquitoes in the pools have to match what was entered into as the species identification. Okay.
There is a question, Lincoln.
Okay. Yes, they are currently you can enter species information here. It'll give you that validation error. And I'm gonna talk about why these species are available in that pull down menu in just 1 second here. So now we have a trap created at a specific date and location. We did the species identification and we created our pools. Something that mosquito control agencies can do within the vector search system is create mosquito pools without doing the species ID identification. So let's say you want to create a pool based on a trap, but you haven't done the count yet for what was in that trap. So this might occur if you are doing sampling of like a New Jersey light trap, let's say, and you're collecting floodwater mosquitoes, and you've collected thousands and thousands of mosquitoes that you aren't actually going to be doing the count for, but that you still want to create mosquito pools for. So you can create pools independent of the mosquito trap records. So to do that, we're going to go back to this version 5 interface. We're going to create new pools. And then it will ask you to enter some basic information about the pool that's being created without actually linking it to a collection record. So here, let's enter some basic information about the new mosquito pool that's being created. So we're going to set it as today's date. Here, again, it's going to give you a value, mosquito pool number value. This 8 is the next one that is available based on our availability list. So let's create mosquito pool 8. We're going to say it's a BG trap like we were working with earlier. BG Sentinel trap that we used a BG lure and we use CO2. We're just going to enter the same information as below, as previously entered. And we're going to say that this is a Japonicus pool with females mixed and a count of 50. So let's generate this pool. And it was successfully created. So this is creating a pool without entering any of the collection, the trap information as we set previously. You'll see that these are the pools that we previously created. And we now have the Aedes japonicus pool here that's unlinked to a collection record. So this is what some of the mosquito control agencies do is they enter the pool information, but they don't actually enter the mosquito count information. Yeah, and that's the reason why when you're creating pools, the species list allows you to select mosquitoes that aren't currently available in a collection because you can do this independently of your collection records. The last thing I'm going to hit on for the mosquito pools then is if we want to then go back and link this mosquito pool record. So here's that pool that we just created. It's mosquito pool 8, and it's not currently linked to a mosquito collection record. You can edit this mosquito pool. It'll pull up the information that was previously entered, and you can now link it to a specific collection. So we're going to link it to that mosquito collection that we previously created. If you click this drop-down menu, it'll give you all of the mosquito species that were entered in that collection. So let's select this. Well, we're going to link this. When you link a mosquito pool that's not associated with a collection record to a collection record, it gives you a warning message saying that the collection date, the site, and the trap information that was entered for that pool is going to be overwritten and is going to then be associated with these data values that come from the collection record itself. So I'm okay with that. So I'm going to click OK. Close this option, and you'll now see that this mosquito pool is linked to that collection that we created previously. So I'm going to update this pool. And now this pool number 8, the Aedes japonicus record that we created from this interface is now linked to that collection record that we created previously. This can also be done from the Arthropod abundance form. So we're going to go back to Arthropod, manage. So here's that BG trap that we created previously. Let's edit this. And at the bottom here, you'll see an option to link to existing pools. So maybe you have pools created that are not yet associated with the collection record. So I'm going to go back to that Aedes japonicus pool that we just linked. Here you can unlink it. So now it's saying that that pool is not associated with this collection record. It's kind of floating by itself, just a pool that was created based on mosquitoes at this location. From this link existing pools, then you can reattach this japonicus record, this pool number 8 that we created, to this collection record. And it's going to give you the same warning message about overwriting the collection date, site, and trap information. We're going to click OK there. And now the pool that we created separately from this collection is now linked to the collection. The last bit of information that I want to let you know about, though, is if we have a collection record here that has pools associated with it, you will be unable to delete this collection record without first either deleting the pools or unlinking the pools. So if we go to manage the abundance record, now you'll see that that red trash can is not available because it has mosquito pools associated with it.